welcome, Miss Sarah.
Thank you.
And welcome our viewers. This is another episode of The Mortgage Coach, hosted by yours truly, Dre Torres. I have an awesome guest with us today who I just introduced, so I'll introduce again here in a second. But we were kind of talking before the pod, and we were talking about like the agenda and what is it about and what are we really trying to do here. And I try to explain the podcast to everybody. And I remember when I talked to Sarah about this a few days ago, there's really no agenda, right? I'm just trying to give exposure to awesome people that I meet, whether I do business with them, whether it's friendships, and just bring on real people. You have conversations and you realize that there's a lot that people have to offer and say. I think the biggest thing that we see on social media, and I don't know if you agree, but it's just a lot of BS, right? You see somebody's life, right? And then all of a sudden, like, somebody gets divorced and you're like, what the heck? Weren't you just in Cabo like a month ago with your husband? Right?
I appreciate you so much.
It's just such a fake out. It's such a fake out sometimes. I think it's such a fake out, especially where we live in Carlsbad. Nothing wrong with the community, but there's just so many successful people. You never know what anybody does, right? We run into people that pick up for our kids, right? And you just see like what do you do, right? Like how did you get here? How did you buy your home in Carlsbad, right?
Yeah.
What investments did you make to be successful? What failures did you make? What wouldn't you do, right? Like, so just a lot of different things. So anyways, long answer there, but the agenda is no agenda. We're just bringing on awesome people, and that's what we do here on The Mortgage Coach. So without further ado, I have my good friend, who I consider a friend now, Sarah Simonetti. Just to give her a brief introduction, she is a real estate agent in North County, but she does business everywhere. I consider her an awesome VA real estate agent. I know that that's something that she focuses on a little bit. Am I wrong saying that? And then you also have your other hustle, which is you were telling Corbin and I before this. Shout out to Corbin, our videographer. He's the man behind everything here. So shout out to Corbin. But tell me a little bit more. We'll stay away from the real estate business, but tell me a little bit more about what you do aside from that.
Am I looking this way or this way?
You're good. You can look wherever you want. Or you can look directly at the camera too if you want, or you can chat with me.
I have a business called Punch Therapy.
Okay.
And it comes from me coaching Muay Thai for the past 20 years and being a student of Muay Thai and learning how much it helps me get through everyday stuff. Okay. So I started off doing women only, helping them get through rage and trauma. So moving emotion through motion, getting to punch and kick. And now I've really branched into basically everybody, but really teenagers.
Okay.
I do 30-minute rage sessions. So their parents drop them off. We talk about life for a minute. Unless it hurts them or somebody else, I don't tell the parents anything.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a safe
Stays
space.
Between you
yeah.
guys. That's right.
I think safe space is overused. But it is a little container for them to talk about life and then hit and kick the shit out of me. For 30 minutes. I hold pads and it's safe and they get to just let out rage that we all have, and it's okay to let it out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that outlet is huge, especially having a 14 turning 15-year-old in my house, right? And I know you have children as well, but I realized like the biggest thing, especially in the transition from like middle school to high school, is like they just don't talk to you. Right? It's like sometimes you're needed, sometimes you're not. It's a weird space to be in. So for them to have coaches or other people in their life to talk to, right? I think is awesome. But how did you start that? Like what made you even think about starting that business? Or
when I was little, I didn't really feel heard, felt, or seen by my parents, like really understood.
Okay.
So I felt like I was like living this life and they were there, but they were never there.
Yeah.
However, it's also hard being a mom of teenagers. I understand that it's hard to be there.
Yeah.
Because like you said, they don't talk to you. They're like, you know, my kids don't want anything to do with me unless it's like Chick-fil-A or Sephora.
100%.
So I like, I'm like, hey, tell me about your life. I'll take you shopping.
Yeah, 100%.
But so I understand, like, I'm not mad at my parents, but I understand what it's like to feel that as a kid. And so I want to give that space to other kids to hear, like, be heard, felt, or seen.
Got it.
Like, I have one girl that's just like, I talked to my mom like 7 times about this. I'm like, well, have you really like sat down and been like, hey, I told you 7 times.
Yeah.
I really want you to listen. Because I know my kids try to slow me down and then I turn into my 9-year-old self and I'm like, well, fine. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Like, so it's just to hear them out, to help them feel understood and to help them better communicate with their own parents, with their peers, with relationships.
And that's as honest as it gets too, like your kids and your spouses in whatever way you look at it. But like when you have so many things going on in your mind and you're a parent and you're trying to run a business and you're trying to be successful and Christmas is coming up and you're like, damn, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to make this work for these guys, right? They want X, Y, and Z, right? Like there's so many things going on in your mind as a parent, and it's easy to lose sight of the actual words that come out of your kids' mouths and what they're actually saying to you, right?
Yes.
So I think that's awesome. And Sarah is not lying, right? Like I've seen her around for, I feel like years now. But every Saturday and Sunday morning, I take my golf cart into the village and I grab coffee at, bunch of different places in the village. Shout out Revolution Roasters, shout out Crackheads.
But coffee.
Yeah, there you go. But anyway, so I drove up like a year and a half ago. It's like 8:15 in the morning. It's cold out. And I drive up to this spot called Crackheads in downtown Carlsbad, and Sarah's out there.
Yeah.
There's mats on the side, on the side there. And she's out there, with some girls, and they're working out and, doing their whole thing. And I was like, this is badass, right? I'm like, what does this girl do, right? So that was like kind of like my first introduction, but I've always seen you pick your kids up, right? We've seen each other at sports.
Yeah.
We've always talked over the years, but haven't really got to know each other until recently, right? Where we've kind of talked a little bit about business, and we've reached out to each other on social media to see if we can help each other. We still haven't truly done anything together, but the biggest reason why I brought you on here is because even when you and I sat down for coffee, I think it was a few weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
I've done this now with a lot of different real estate agents to build relationships and just kind of get to know people, especially in the North County space. But every real estate agent that has an issue and brings a deal to me, they talk about the size of their deal, right? That's the first thing they talk about is, I have this $2 million deal, Dre, and I have to get this done. I have this $1.5 million. I have this 1 point, right? That's the first thing out of, I don't want to say every, but a lot, right?
Yeah.
And the number one thing for you is like, you had posted about like that solar issue, right? And we were kind of talking about it. But the number one thing that you always talk to me about is, I have these awesome clients. I have these really great people, Dre. I have these people that I'm trying to help. That's all you ever tell me about. And when we had talked months ago, when I was at a different lender and you had reached out to me to try to see what I can do, that was the same thing, right? And then you tried connecting me with some other people, right? And you were just so free, just right off the bat, to have a combo, to connect me with other people, to just be so open. And I feel like it's such an awesome thing. There's not enough of you. And I just think it's really rad, right? And you and I talked about that in the sense that it's hard to be open because you let so many people in.
Yeah.
But especially like, it's very easy for people to point fingers and know a lot about you and then use that against you in a sense, right?
Yeah. I think it could be really easy to get greedy in this industry. But what I found is, if I work out of desperation and greed, then I end up, running the hamster wheel of working really hard and not making money.
Yeah.
So I just became really intentional with my business and wanting and asking to attract only people that, that are really going to be appreciative and trust me, and vice versa. So that led me to just focusing on military, all VA.
Got it.
I have a personality that works well with the military personnel.
Mm-hmm.
And I also work with property management. So if they get PCS, if they get orders elsewhere, I can help them and do side-by-side analysis of like, hey, is it better to rent or is it better to sell? And they're really grateful, and they come back and they refer their friends, and it isn't about the purchase price for me. It's just about the humans. And I know that if I continue to do that, I will continue to do great.
And two things I want to touch on. One, you had said that you give them side-by-side comparison. So are you saying like, if they own something in San Diego and let's say they have to go out to Virginia, and instead of maybe purchasing something in Virginia, you'll give them a comparison of, hey, why don't you keep your home in San Diego and maybe rent something there? Is that what you mean? Or am I on the right track?
Yep, you're on the right track. Usually within that 6-month mark, I'll hit you up to see, hey, Dre, does it make sense for them to refinance now into conventional, into a better rate? Because, Joe and Sarah want to buy a duplex next.
Got it.
So it's kind of like building that trust and showing them the stepping stones to do what we all want to do, is have all this passive income.
Yeah.
And military, the VA loan is so beautiful that it enables them to do so.
So many benefits.
Yeah.
that a lot of people don't
Yeah.
know about, even veterans, right?
For sure.
And you had mentioned something about, you said, sorry, I lost my train of thought here. We can
Squirrel.
cut this out here in a second. Okay, good. So yeah, you had mentioned something, and you said that we had talked about in our last episode with Devontae. Shout out Devontae.
Squirrel.
But squirrel. And talked about, gosh damn it, I can't believe I'm doing this again. Oh yes, we talked about commission breath on our last episode, and that you had mentioned that, right?
Commission breath?
Commission breath, and that's when people have, you can smell it on them, right? And especially me, I come from phone sales, right? Where a lot of my years in the insurance business and early on in lending, when you need deals and you sound hungry over the phone, those clients understand that.
Yeah.
And when I was cool, calm, collected, whether I was having a good month or a bad month, that's when deals started to land, right? And you had touched on that, right? When you just treat people well and you truly have a good understanding of what they're looking to accomplish, it makes things so much easier regardless of the price, right? It doesn't matter to me if your deal's $400,000 or $1 million. I'm going to treat you the same.
I mean, it's really nice. Don't get me wrong. Don't get you wrong. Like, I like to fucking make money, but
Of course, that's what we do.
like,
I mean,
when you're a kind human, it comes more easily, I guess.
yeah, and I think it's a tougher way to build your business as well. You don't
Yeah.
get the instant gratification that a lot of people get who are out for the money.
For sure.
It's a hard way to build your business, and it kind of takes you down a rabbit hole, because if you properly build it that way, like I said, you just don't get the instant gratification that most people get, right?
Agreed.
So tell me a little bit more about the MMA. You had mentioned to us earlier that you had stopped by a coffee shop that you had been to like 20 years ago that used to
Yeah.
be, what was it called again?
Aging me.
I know. Sorry. What was it called again?
7.
Yeah. What was it called
Mystic
again?
Mocha.
Mystic Mocha.
Yes.
And you had said that you used to go to Mystic Mocha when you were managing a what?
My friend Suzanne and I, we opened up Throwdown. It's now called Victory.
Okay.
It's Throwdown MMA right on Point Midway.
Okay.
And we would just pass out flyers and do sales. We both were doing sales and training Muay Thai and all that good stuff. We would go to this little coffee shop, and it's still there.
Gotcha. So
You did that 20 years ago?
Yeah.
Because I would say that kind of like was before MMA really popped. Like it was definitely like getting popular.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
Yep.
Is there anything that you would share like that?
Well, when I moved out here, I worked for the company called the Boxing Club, and that moved me out from Ohio. And I was an Olympic lifting strength conditioning coach.
background, you're born and raised in Ohio.
Mhm.
Okay.
So I was 19.
So you're 19 years old.
Yep.
Got
I'm
it.
27 now, but I've been here for 20 years.
20 years. Beautiful. So thank you.
So, worked for the Boxing Club, met my kid's father. He was a judo guy.
Okay.
Dan Henderson was fighting a judo guy called
Dan Henderson's a San Diego guy.
Temecula.
Temecula. Okay.
I mean, yes, but he
Yes.
is the Temecula
Okay.
guy. So Team Quest was his gym, is his gym. Now it's Dan Henderson something. But anyways, so they called my kid's dad to fight, and he started fighting. And that's, I think, right when it got really big with Pride and Dream.
Yeah.
I don't know if you follow MMA, if you followed.
Yes.
But that they took place in Japan and everywhere.
Yeah.
So I was sitting at tables with Vanderlei Silva and Little Nog, Big Nog, like,
Big dog. I love it.
yeah, Machida,
Okay.
Dan Henderson.
Yeah.
I mean, all of those guys I was sitting with and eating meals, and we had training camp. So,
What was that like? Like, I mean, you guys were just, that was,
it was
everybody
just
was just
normal. Everybody was super nice. I mean, there was fight camps at our house, so I would help cook meals. All the guys are just, I mean, they're all a bunch of young, big goober fighters that just ate, slept.
They're hilarious, right?
Yeah.
They're just, I mean,
Like JT Money. Who's the crazy one? He's on Instagram, all over Instagram right now. Anyways, it was just really cool to see these guys in like real life, and then now looking back, like they were huge deals.
yeah.
And I have just like normal everyday meals with
Well,
them.
because you didn't look at it like that.
No.
You built
Uh-uh.
you built real relationships with them, so it wasn't a big deal to you.
Yeah, and my kid's father was like pretty humble too, so it wasn't like a big show all the time.
For sure. They were just athletes to you, and they were friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looking back, I'm like, oh shit, that was so
Especially now,
cool.
especially nowadays, right? When you look at the history, well, and it wasn't a huge deal back then either, right? Especially over here stateside. So, but when you look back, I remember because my dad and I, like, we were watching episode 1 of the UFC Ultimate Fighter, right? And then back then is when I started to find out who these guys were, Mirko Cro Cop and all these guys.
Oh, yeah.
And then I would go and like, I'd jump on the computer, and that's when I found like the pride fights, right?
Yeah.
Before people even knew who Rampage was, I knew who Rampage was because of that,
For sure.
So I watched a little bit, but I wasn't as engulfed as you were in the world, and nor do I have the sack to step in the cage. But
We'll get there.
listen, I've been in enough altercations in my life, so I'm okay with that. I just knowingly going in, to me, is crazy. And
Is it because your thumbs?
yeah, it's because sorry guys, the Megan Fox thumb.
I was waiting for my
shout out. Yeah, I've been like this, like a freaking but yeah, I've been in enough in my day, but knowingly stepping into a cage, I just think that takes a different type of mindset. I mean, regardless of the training and all that, I mean, the preparation, everything that comes with it, hat off to those guys. I wrestled my whole life, so I mean, I have, a little bit of that training behind me, but those guys are freak athletes.
The community's cool. I feel like there's a bunch of spectrum people of us that we all get together and work out, and it helps right brain, left brain.
Yeah.
I think that's the background of MMA and Muay Thai that I love to bring into like this day and age of bringing it into like the community is just work. Like, it's like reading.
Yeah.
I don't love to sit and read. I listen to an Audible, but busy people that can't sit still and all this stuff, like jabbing and crossing and kicking and moving your bodies. I don't know. I think there's something to it.
But you do a lot more than just that. Like, I see your Instagram, like you're putting in miles. I mean, you do a decent amount of working out. Like, has that always been a part of your life, or is that something you implemented like the last few years? Because it's something that I've always been an athlete, but I think I don't want to say I regret anything, but my work ethic hasn't always been there. It's been majority of God-given talent that I went off of. So like this whole waking up and working out thing for me, like 5-6 days a week, is crazy. But I'm enjoying it.
Must be nice.
Yeah, I'm enjoying the process. It for me, it's not an easy thing, but has it always been something that's been a part of your life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I competed in like fitness and figure bathing suit shows when I was 15.
Got it.
So it's always
That's
been
long
a huge part. Yeah. Only like 7 years.
Yeah. Guys, we're all over the place now.
No, I'm 39. I'm going to be 40 in July, and I feel fucking great.
Good.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I just don't do the crazy workouts anymore. I don't. I used to be huge into CrossFit. I love it.
Yeah.
Jocko's the one that introduced me to CrossFit at
The
Throwdown.
Jocko?
Yep. He's the reason I got CrossFit certified. Yeah.
Dude, I
Yeah.
respect. Hey,
He's in my phone.
I listen.
But
Shout out Jocko.
yeah, no, he's the
Let's get
reason.
you on the pod, Jocko. Good.
He's the reason I got into CrossFit, and then I just can't do those workouts anymore. I think because I'm trying to just be a little bit more flowy in life. I don't want to do all this crazy stuff. And Muay Thai is kind of like a dance. So a lot of people think it's all about like fucking it up and elbows. And yes, of course it is. However, the way that I teach it and my intention is just to move your body and let out some rage too.
Good.
Yeah.
So, question for you. Tell me a little bit about Ohio. So, you lived there until you were 19 years old.
Yes.
So, have you only lived in Ohio and San Diego?
Yes.
Okay. So, you grew up, any siblings?
Brother, 3 years younger.
Okay. So, younger brother,
Mhm.
grew up with your parents in Ohio,
Mm-hmm.
shipped out of Ohio straight to San Diego.
Yep.
And that's the only other place you've been.
Yes.
Carlsbad it is.
Temecula, Point Loma, Oceanside, San Marcos. But yes,
So, you stayed on the coast.
Yeah.
What's attracted you to the coast?
I have no idea. Maybe the beach.
And you turn 40 coming up. My birthday's on Saturday. Happy early birthday to Sarah.
you.
But you just got back from Costa Rica.
I did.
I know that we haven't talked about it. I said I wanted to talk to you about it on the pod. We don't have to dig into it too long.
Okay.
But I know the weather wasn't the best, but was there any positive? What did
Of
you take out of
course.
the trip? I've never been to Costa Rica, so tell me about it. Tell me a little bit about it.
One of my friends and the girls that I mentor moved out there to teach English.
Oh.
So we went back in April, and it was a great time. She fell in love with it. She got a job. She moved.
Have you been mentoring her for some time?
I mean, a few years we've been kind of coaching together, and then she would coach if I was out of town. And then we became really good friends as well. So she got a job, she moved out, so we moved her out. And when we went out there in April, it was great, sunny, and this time it was supposed to be the end of the rainy season, and it was, there was a tropical storm called Sarah while I was there,
Legitimate.
and it had erratic behavior.
Oh my
There's like-
gosh.
There's
Hold on. Keep it coming here.
So from the moment we got there to the moment we left, it was raining. Like, we didn't put bathing suits on once. But we had a ton of fun. We had journaled a little bit,
Was it tough?
smoked some weed in the rain,
There you go.
drank some beers.
There you go.
played with some monkeys.
Was it tough to get out of there?
Yes. There's 2 landslides, so we were in a van for 12 hours, and we were very lucky to like be parked next to a restaurant or bar. But what I love about Costa Rica, and I can't speak for other countries, maybe Mexico too, but we were in line for 12 hours. People before us were in line for 22 hours. They were smiling. They were in the beach. They were having a beer together. They were playing cards. All the drivers stayed with us. Nobody left us. They said, we're going to make sure we see you to the airport.
Wow.
And if that would have happened here,
Yeah, it's different.
Ubers would have left. Yeah. Everybody would be screaming at the airlines.
Yeah.
Nobody can get flights for 2 to 3 days.
Everybody's like, yo,
One
we don't
airport
got anything to do. We might as well enjoy ourselves.
Yeah, but it was just, I would hope that something like this could happen. However, that it happened there, like everybody's mood,
Yeah.
and most of us were Americans going back home.
For sure.
But it was really cool, and it was a great end to the trip, even though we were all frustrated and wanted to get home.
Yeah.
But they had 2 landslides. It hasn't rained like that in years.
Yeah.
It was just frustrating because it's not cheap there, and so to go there, you really want to be able to explore.
Experience the whole
But
thing.
it was raining so much that we couldn't go on the hikes because of the landslide.
Yeah. It's
Like
sketchy.
So we
You got 2 kiddos at home waiting on you, so
they're
tropical storm. Sarah has to take it easy on Costa Rica.
yes.
So Sarah, tell me a little bit more about the kids. How old are your kids? I know we were talking before this, but let's let everybody know.
Yep, Leonardo is 13.
Okay.
And Talia will be 12 on Tuesday.
Good. So Ty's turning 12 on Tuesday. So he's
Talia,
I'm sorry, Talia. She's the 26th.
6th.
So she's a Thanksgiving baby.
Mhm.
But it's like every 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
I'm the 23rd.
How are you?
So it was on Thanksgiving last year on my birthday.
Okay.
Yeah. We're not to have us. Speaking of the kids, I got to shout out mine, especially my son Logan, who's been helping me out with the podcast. He's all about our likes and subscribers. He's asking me every other week how many more likes we're getting. So shout out to Logan, my beautiful daughter, my beautiful daughter, Brooklyn, my son, Connor, for always helping me out, telling me I look cooler. I got to change my shirt. And truthfully, to my stylist, aka Alex Torres, my wife, thanks for the outfit, babe. So yeah, just had to give everybody a shout out.
Future partner, hey.
Yeah, yes, the ring thing, right? Hey, forget the paperwork as long as you get the ring.
Just a fun ring, yeah.
It's a fun ring. So Sarah, what's next for you guys? What do you guys have coming up for the holidays? Anything fun?
I don't know. What's Thanksgiving is next week? Getting through Thanksgiving.
coming up?
My son and I are going to do the turkey trot. We run the 5K. This is our 3rd year doing it
One in
together.
Carlsbad?
Oceanside. Oceanside, Encinitas. So
Nice.
Oceanside.
Heck yeah, turkey trot it is. Thanksgiving coming up.
We chose the 6 a.m. one too.
You guys are ripping it. What?
Yeah.
5. So it's like
3.1.
3 and some change. That's
Mhm.
nothing to you. I see you putting in 8 miles. 8 miles like it's nothing.
Let's see.
So tell me a little bit more. Do we have any deals going right now? Any clients that you're currently working with? I know we just closed home with the solar. You ended up finishing that deal, right?
Yes,
you guys
that one
found a
closed.
solution, which was crazy.
Yeah.
So the home had a solar lien that you guys essentially weren't aware of, right?
2.
2 solar liens. And pretty much, was it at the closing table that these came up, or was it like a few days?
Well, we knew
before it
about
closed?
one, and it was assumable, and then the other one was not assumable.
Which means, tell the people what not assumable means.
That means
'cause
you
not
have to
everybody
pay off
understands
the entire amount. And that means that my clients had to come up with $52,000 before closing.
it. Okay.
And so we didn't. We sent our cancellation in. My clients were so awesome, and they were like, we trust you.
Yeah.
We'll find another house. We can close quick. Nobody's going to walk in and pay $52,000.
Stop there. Really,
Period.
really, really important. And this is, I know Devontae and I talked about it on the last episode, but working with honest real estate agents and honest people who don't have commission breath, it is okay to walk away from deals.
Yeah.
It is okay to tell your clients, hey guys, something feels off here. It's just not the right time. Or if your client comes to you and says, I don't feel comfortable, you have to step aside from your paycheck or whatever you have coming up in your life or whatever you thought this deal was going to be.
Yeah, for sure.
And you kind of have to step aside and say, okay, let me get back to what was important to them. And are we still accomplishing that for them? Right.
Yeah. And it feels better. Like my stomach and my heart and my soul Like, I think everybody would be lying if they said they didn't do little white lies, before, because you want this deal to work out and you want it to close and you want to be positive, but then there's also like the reality check that's like, if it's not this one, if it's not this, it's something better.
Yeah,
You have to
100%.
say that to yourself with life, and then I tell that to my clients too. But I've definitely been there where I've like, yeah, it's fine. I'm like, fuck, I shouldn't have. If I tell them heads up, I think I can sleep. I think that's why I'm sleeping better at night.
Yeah. I think, and that's important, right? Like I've always told people is like regardless of what I've done in sales throughout my sales career, like I've always been able to lay my head down at night because I know I don't cut corners. Even when I was in the insurance industry, I lost business because I told people, hey, you're cutting corners. You need more coverage. You have assets. I know you want 15, 30, 10, which is the lowest because it's cheap in California, but you own a home, right? If something happens and you get sued, like they can come after your largest asset, right? I've lost business that way in multiple industries, but being honest with clients is the only way to go. So walking away from business isn't easy. So aside from that deal, I know that you had talked about kind of coming back from Costa Rica and you were kind of thinking about regrouping a little bit. Tell me a little bit more about that. You had mentioned it to me if you would like.
Yeah,
I know it's new. Yeah, you mentioned it to me yesterday. I listened to everything. So yesterday you had said you met somebody on the airplane.
Oh, yeah, that's what. I think I want to go back to school for some psychology.
Okay.
I am researching what it looks like money-wise, time-wise, and time-wise, basically.
Got it.
But,
and the reason why I bring it up is not to put that, you said it to me yesterday, or to my wife yesterday at the coffee shop, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. I'm like, somebody who raises 2 children on her own and supports them financially, emotionally, and everything. I see you constantly grinding, picking your kids up, dropping them off. You're a present mom. They play sports. You're everywhere. You're running your business successfully. And then to hear you say, hey, I'm thinking about diving into this as well. I'm like, most people would say that's a lot, but truthfully, it just inspires me because I mean, there's times where I feel overwhelmed and I have a partner and I have somebody there to help me. And you and I kind of talked about this, right, at coffee, is like, it's tough doing it on your own. Right?
Yeah.
And you don't have anybody else to fall back on. And, it's all you.
Yeah. And that's why I'm thinking about it and researching it. I met this woman on the airplane that knows a lot about it. So if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it might take a back burner. Because my real estate business is just taking off too. And so I want to just pay attention to too many things and stuff. So,
but there's nothing wrong with putting yourself out there.
No, there isn't. I just have a tendency to make quick decisions.
Yeah.
And so now I'm trying to just wait it out a little bit longer, which, is hard. But that's why I'm successful too, is because I have that risk factor that I don't fucking care and I'll just go.
Yeah.
And I might faceplant, but I'll try again.
Have you always been a quick decision maker?
Oh, yeah.
Dude, I have too. My mom's always said, like, we back in the day were like, if I could go to somewhere and buy something, like the first thing I saw was like, I'm taking it.
Yeah.
It's like, I would never, some people are meticulous. If you're going to get a bike, they'll look at 5 or 6 different bikes, maybe try. I don't test drive I don't do anything, especially even when I buy cars. I'm like, this is what we want. If we can figure out the numbers, let's just walk out with it.
Yeah.
I could care less.
Same.
So
I'm trying to teach my kids a little different.
I know. Give them some patience, right? I'm the same way. I find, but that's what you do as a parent, right?
Yeah.
Like my wife and I talk about this with friends that have kids all the time. Like you take the good that you learned from your parents, right? And whatever bad was there, or whatever you thought was bad, you don't want to teach. And then you take, whatever is a part of you, and that's kind of your legacy as a parent, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
no,
tell me if I'm offline there.
No, I mean, I think the hardest part is our parents could have told us a million things, but we had to fuck up and find out.
Yeah.
And so that's the hardest thing as a parent now, is knowing I could tell them a million times, but they're going to have to fuck up and find out and learn.
100%.
So that's for me, and then learning that I'm just a guide. I'm not their parent. I'm here just to guide you and help you, because I am 39 for the first time this year, today, right? This age, with 2 teenagers. I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing.
You're just hoping that, like I always tell my oldest son, Connor, like, I'm just hoping that if you get put in a position, you make the right decision, right? Like that's all we can really do as parents, right? We can't hover around him, especially your son, right? Like, I mean, he's going to be going into, he's the oldest one, right?
He's going to be a freshman.
He's going to be a freshman. It's like, how is that, by the way? How is it single mom raising a boy? Like, how's the dynamic? How's the dynamic between
This is what it's like. Hey, Leo, you're going to get boners looking at a soda machine and you're going to have no idea why.
And is he just,
And he's like,
and is he,
leave me alone.
yeah, he's like, you're way too much for me, right? He's
Yeah.
like, Mom, you're awkward,
yeah.
right?
And then Talia, I'm like, you're going to get your period soon. She's like, I have my kit. Leave me alone.
Jeez.
So-
what's the kit?
There's just there's a kit that they give them in health class.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like a little starter
Just
kit.
in case like it happens
Well,
at
if you
the
start
worst
at
school,
school,
right?
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happened to, I don't even want to say who, but yeah, in middle school I had girlfriends that it happened to, and that's unfortunate. And
Yeah.
everybody knows about it. That's the worst part about it.
But it's just being open, and they do come and talk to me if I chill out for a little bit. They'll come and ask me questions and talk to me. So I don't know anything different of of having somebody with raising kids. So
Mhm.
everybody's like, oh, I don't know how you do it. You just do. You have to.
Yeah.
And I didn't always enjoy being a mom until recently, and I freely talk about that with my other women friends because
Tell me about that.
well, it's really hard to I was just like in survival mode, so I was like, I don't know what to do with you little kids.
Hmm.
And daycare is expensive, and I'm trying to work 5 jobs, so I didn't really get to be present, nor did I have a partner that was supportive at the moment. So I was trying to love on them, love on me, and make ends meet. But now that they're older and more self-sufficient, and we can have conversations, it's it's cool. I'm not their parent, I'm their guide, I'm not their friend. I'll still, crack the whip if I need to, but just having conversations with them in a whole different light makes me really appreciate them. And then I'm like, oh, cool. They're pretty cool humans.
Yeah, and I think that's I see or you see different parents, right? How they parent, and you
Yeah.
see how other people's kids act, right? You see it throughout the years, and I see the biggest mistake that people in high school make with their parents is they become their kids' friends, right? And then you lose some stuff there. So I think it's awesome that you recognize that. So yeah, so I was talking to Corbin about this earlier, and I wanted to get your perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So you've been a real estate agent for how long now?
4 years.
4 years now in the business. And I think one thing that I've realized, because I went from the corporate side of lending where I was fed leads and, it was just my job to close deals, right? I didn't have to really go out and find much besides, keeping in front of my existing business and stuff like that, to trying to build a business of, my sphere. And I know that it's important that building relationships with real estate agents and certain things. But the number one thing I've realized is real estate agents are tough, right? And I feel like there's this void between real estate agents and lenders, in a sense that real estate agents have people that they use and they trust, right? And it's hard to come back in. It's hard to come in as an outsider and say, hey, I'm a normal guy. Give me a shot, right? Let's see if we can do business together. Why is that? Give me some background. Because you've been in the independent space a little bit longer than I have. Sorry for it.
No, you're good. I think it's like going and getting your hair done. I've been going to Sam for 8 years. And so all of a sudden, if I let another hairdresser in, oh man, I don't know. I think it's like a conversation, but that's probably a really bad idea side by side, because
it makes sense to me.
I have a barber and a stylist.
Yeah. I went to the same barber forever, so it makes
I think
sense to
you
me.
gain that relationship with somebody, but I also am a huge believer of personalities. So if there's somebody that's going to fit your personality better than Josh I work with, then I'm going to send them your way. Because I think there's some people that like it hard, and give it to them, and there's some people that need some more guidance because they're I don't fucking understand anything.
Yeah.
And I know some people have more patience for that and some don't, but I'm also really good with people.
Yes.
So I might work in a different way than other agents. But I also think a lot of agents are full of shit and a lot of lenders are full of shit.
There you go.
They want to do what they can do to get the deal done, and they say they can do it, and then they wait until the 11th hour. And then I notice those patterns with agents or lenders, and then I just don't work with them again.
Is it the transparency, communication part of things?
Yeah, it's almost like getting it through underwriting before we write offers.
Yeah.
Getting all the skeletons out of the closet and knowing the process. I'm not a lender, so I can't speak to that in your verbiage, but I do know that if I can go in with a file, with a lender saying the words, hey, we already have it through underwriting, this is the only thing that can come up, or this, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
I'm way more confident in writing offers than somebody's like, yeah, let me just send you a letter and we'll do the rest later.
Yeah.
No, my nervous system is just getting back to normal. I don't want any more heart palpitations.
No, 100%. And that's and those are good lenders, right? I tell people that first 48 hours of that conversation, especially if a real estate agent reaches out to me and says, hey, Dre, I have this, right? Right away, I want to make contact. And number two, I want to get an application done so that we can paint the picture and get things into underwriting as quickly as possible. And some people like take it the wrong way. They think like, oh, we're going to do business together. That's not the case, right? I just want to make sure that we're painting the picture. So if there's going to be anything that we run into, we know right away if we have to get more assets, if we're going to have to pull more funds, right? If we're, whatever it may be, it comes up within those first few days so that this isn't something that we're dealing with at the finish line. Because my wife and I experienced not getting keys to a property in 2018, and it's been an unfortunate circumstance, right? It was one of those things that we were 4 days away from getting keys, and we got a call from the lender like a few days before, and they're like, hey, can we get your tax returns again? I'm like, I've sent them 8 times. Why would you need them again? Ended up being a whole mess, right? But it was that lender not doing their due diligence, and part of the reason why I hopped into the business was to make sure that people didn't have to deal with stuff like that. Now, with that being said, you know that there's always gray areas, right? And things come up in the lending process in general, but it's limiting the mistakes up front. I think that's important. That's what you're kind of talking about, right? And it makes you feel more comfortable. It makes the lender feel more comfortable, and the client, right? Because everybody's on the same page.
Right, exactly.
Cool. Well, Sarah, I think that's it. I want to get you out of here on time. If you could answer one more question for me, if there's anything that you could do differently, whether in your business, whether as a mother, as an entrepreneur, give some people some knowledge. How would you turn things? What would you do differently if you could?
Nothing, because I wouldn't be where I am now.
Good.
Maybe drink more water.
Good. That's the answer I wanted.
But yeah, no.
I didn't want long-winded.
I had to fuck up, fall down real hard to come back up. So.
And if people would have gave you the answers, would you have still gone your own route?
Probably.
Yeah, there you go. That's fire. That's why we roll together. Thanks for coming, Sarah.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.